So we're going to do a fun flow class. It's everything but the kitchen sink. And if I could get the kitchen sink in, I would, if I knew what that was. All right, so we're going to start in Sukhasana. Cross legs at the front of your mat. I'm with Liz and Janice is going to modify a couple of things. So face the front of your mat. Liz, that's the side of your mat. Right, so cross your shin bones in front of one another and then flex your ankles. And take your legs far enough forward that you can cross your shins right in the middle. Maybe your feet will come a little bit to the outside of your knees. And then sit up tall and reach your arms up overhead. Straight elbows, roll your outer arms forward and then reach up through your fingertips. And keep your sit bones anchored into the floor in a flat back. And exhale, start to fold yourself forward. Once you're about halfway, re-anchor your sit bones and then fold yourself all the way down with your arms in front of you. Plant your hands down shoulder distance apart. Spread your fingers wide and press your hands down into the mat. And then just smooth in and out through your nose. And add a little bit of the effort of Ujjayi, narrowing the back of your throat and making your breath audible. You can also keep your breath just even and steady in and out through your nose if you don't want to do Ujjayi. And then just a little check-in how your body feels on your mat. And then walk your hands up. Go slow. And change the cross of your legs. Put the weird one in front, the one that didn't get chosen. And then cross your shins, flex your ankles, reach your arms up again. And roll the outer arms forward, reach really tall. Exhale, fold halfway. When you're halfway, kind of shift forward or back on your sit bones, get onto the tops of them, and then fold all the way down. And then active arms. So just like they're going to be in down dog in a moment, press your hands strongly. Let that lift your arm bones all the way from your wrist through your shoulder up to the ceiling. And then roll your outer arms down like you were when they were overhead and hug them in. All right. And then slowly walk yourself up and come forward to all fours and curl your toes under into downward facing dog. And so place your hands shoulder distance apart. Do the same thing you were just doing when you were folded forward. Spread your fingers wide. And then it's different for all of you. So if your fingertips are really heavy, add a little extra weight into the heel of your hand. Janice, will you do down dog instead of all fours? She's taking her time. And if the fingertip or the heel of your hand feels heavy, give more weight to the fingertips. And then once your hands are balanced, roll your inner arms to the ceiling, hug your outer arms in, and then press your thighs back. Get the sides of your waist to lengthen out like you were just doing in that fold. Then put a big bend in your left knee. Straighten your right leg all the way out. Make sure your heel's behind your second toe and push your heel down into the mat. And then if your right hip kind of bows out to the side when you do that, make sure that you're hugging the thigh bone into the midline of your mat. All right, and then switch legs. Put a big bend in your right knee. Straighten your left leg out. Drive the heel down. There'll be this kind of thing that happens. The outer hip likes to pop out to the side, so squeeze it in the other way. That's in. There you go. Janice is having a moment today. Good. Right, now put a big bend in both knees. Press the floor really strongly down so your hips rise even further away from your hands. And then start to press your thighs back so your kneecaps lift up. And then send your heels down. For the last couple of breaths, pick your toes up as much as you can and spread them really wide. There's an effort in the fronts of your shins there that'll start to happen. That pushes your heels down. So if they don't touch, those are the muscles you need to work to get the legs to start to bring the heels further down. So do that same thing, toes lifting, shins engaged, and then put your toes down, but keep the work. And now keep those legs, shift forward into plank pose. So you can always modify and drop your knees if you need, otherwise you're going to stay here. Pull the belly up. Same work you were just doing, heels pushing back, but keep, once you do that, the weight even in your hands like you were doing in down dog. Roll your outer arms back, squeeze them in, and draw your belly in. And then you just think, the only thing that's going to change is I'm going to shift forward and pull my shoulders beyond my wrists, and then I'm going to bend my elbows no more than halfway down into chaturanga. Exhale. Good, you two. Inhale, push straight up to plank pose, and exhale, pull back, down dog. Do it on the breath this time. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower halfway, keep your neck long. Good. Inhale, push straight back up, and exhale, hips take you back, down dog. Inhale, glide forward. Make sure your whole hand stays anchored. Exhale, chaturanga. Good. Inhale, push up plank. Exhale, pull back, down dog. Do two more on your own, on your breath. Liz, you're going to draw your belly in more and curl your tailbone under. There you go. Now widen your collarbones and hold that. Now go. Good. Very nice. Right? And after your second one, you'll stay in downward facing dog. All right, and then inhale, shift forward again, shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, lower halfway. Pause, take an inhale, and exhale, and then lower all the way down to the mat. Uncurl your toes. Move your hands back so that they're directly underneath your elbows. Have your feet hip distance apart and press your toes down until your knees straighten out completely. And then inhale, pull your chest forward like you were dragging your hands back towards your waist to start to lift your chest. And shoulder heads up onto your back and down away from your ears. And then exhale, lower all the way back down. And then keep doing that. Inhale, lift your chest forward and up on your breath. And exhale, lower down. Make sure your hip points stay pressing. Again, inhale, pull your chest forward, hip points down, toes down. Exhale, lower. Right? Next one, all the way into upward facing dog. Inhale, chest pulls forward, straighten your arms out. Knees should be so straight, your thighs are way up off of the mat. And then shoulder heads back as you keep pressing your hands evenly down. And roll up and over your toes. Exhale back, downward facing. And then walk your hands all the way back to your feet. Put enough of a bend in your knees that you feel like you're kind of ready for this hamstring stretch, and then grab your elbows. So it might be that you're ready for them to be completely straight already, or if you have tighter hamstrings today, they will open eventually, then you can put a soft bend in your knees. And then you did a bunch of chaturanga push-ups, so if you want to nod your head yes or no, and just shake it out, get rid of some of that stuff that happens in your neck, which shouldn't be too bad. Good. All right, you two. Release your hands down to the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to your hips. Hug your elbows together and inhale up to standing. Walk to the front of your mat. I always want them to do like some sort of really interesting walk, like flash dance or something. Have a contest for that, right? Hands together, feet together. And inhale, reach your arms out to the side and up alongside your ears. Exhale, flat back, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, look forward, collarbones wide. Keep your chest like this, step into plank. Keep your shoulders forward of your wrists as you do. Take another inhale and then exhale halfway down into Chaturanga. Flip your toes and you can inhale all the way into Up Dog, or you can always stay with Cobra. Exhale, roll up and over your toes. Push your thighs back, Down Dog. Just that same balance in your hands that we worked at the beginning. And you're always looking to make space for your neck. You roll the outer arms down. If you really get good at that, rolling the outer arms down, you can sit in your shoulder joint too much, and you don't want that. So you want to press the thighs back until you feel like the energy is moving up and back away from your hands, lengthening the sides of your waist. And then look forward, heels up, soften your knees, walk or hop until your feet get all the way between your hands. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, come up to standing, straight elbows. And exhale, hands to your heart center. Again, inhale, arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, look forward. Exhale, this time walk or hop Chaturanga. Keep your shoulders forward of your wrists if you're hopping. Good. Inhale, chest wide. And exhale, press back, Down Dog. Right, so now that you know, you're going to widen the base of your neck. You keep the elbows straight. There's muscles in the fronts of your thighs. They straighten your knees, so lift your kneecaps up, and then take that effort up into the crease of your hips and press the crease of your hips back towards your sit bones. And then send your heels down away from that. Look forward, walk or hop, feet land together. Inhale, Ardha. Exhale, fold at your hips. Inhale, come up to standing and bring your arms alongside your ears. Doesn't matter if your palms touch, just the elbows being straight. And then exhale, hands together. Last time, inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward and down. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, through a vinyasa to Down Dog. You can do Chaturanga to the floor and Cobra, or all the way into Up Dog. Good. All right, walk your hands back to meet your feet. Inhale, stretch your chest forward. Exhale, hands to your hips. And with a flat back inhale to stand. Bring your feet all the way together. Keep your hands on your hips. Pick your right foot up and bring your right foot to your inner left thigh. And it doesn't matter how high it goes. What you're looking for is the sides of your hips to be level. So if that means putting the foot down by your ankle, that's fine. Right, now look down at your hip points and make sure they're square to the front of your mat. Hold on to that. Press your foot and thigh together And then start to take the knee out to the side without taking your hips off of square. And then reach your arms up alongside your ears. Pick one point with your eyes. And now you're just looking to get taller through the sides of your body. So stand down into your left foot, especially the inner edge. And then press the foot and the thigh together. Lift the sides of your waist up. Roll your outer arms forward, and now you can use your shoulders. The outer shoulder goes up. Reach high through your fingertips to lift the sides of your waist more. Good. And then start to maybe look up if your balance is really great today. And then if you want to touch your palms, you move them towards that. If they touch all the way, that's fine, but do as close as you can with straight arms. Good. These are very nice tree poses, you two. All right, look forward. Bring your hands to your hips. Lower your right leg down. And then step wide to face the left side of your mat, feet wide apart. Spin your right leg out and your back toes in and set yourself up into warrior two. So bend your right knee and reach your arms out to the sides. You're going to take this into side angle, so you might need a block, and if you do, have it handy and set it to the outside edge of your right foot. Now, it's pretty much the exact same pose you just did in tree. So you start with the back foot, that's the standing leg you had a moment ago. Outer edge of the foot glues down. And then once you have that, you'll press your inner thigh towards your outer thigh, and then start to bend into your right knee. Make sure the weight stays in your heel. The same thing with the hips in terms of levelness from left to right. Pick your right hip up off of your right thigh. Drop the left hip down towards your right heel. And then it's not as easy here. The hips kind of stay off square, but your chest squares off to the side of your mat. You do the same thing. Lengthen the sides of the waist like you were tightening a really wide belt between your ribs and your pelvis. And then look over your right fingers. You can get your left collarbone to feel a little wider by reaching through your left fingertips a little bit more. You're archy today. There you go. And then take 2 more breaths and bend a little bit deeper. Very nice. Now your lower body's going to stay exactly like it is. It's a hinge at the hip, just like a fold. So reach for the front of your mat, hinge at your hip, and put your right hand to the outside, and take your left arm straight up to the ceiling. And once you're here, the back leg, if you've lost traction in it, move it in a little bit so you can get the outer edge of the foot to glue down like it was in Warrior Two. And then once you have that, the same thing, the inner thigh pulls strongly towards the back edge of your mat, like it was going to stand you up, and then keep the weight in your heel. Let the knee move open into your outer arm, and then turn your top palm to the front of your mat and reach the arm alongside your ear like you would do in mountain pose with a nice straight elbow. And then just pay attention to how much length you have in the left side of your body. It'll feel really nice and long. Send your right hip under you a little further, bringing the tailbone slightly to your chin. And then once you have that, roll your left side ribs up to the ceiling. Good. Now, if it feels like you're crunching your right side body at this point, just a little bit of a side body crunch. Bring the left ribs towards your left hip, and your right ribs will lengthen. And then from here, take your top arm back up to the ceiling. Inhale, bring yourself up to Warrior Two. Reach your arms to the side. Make it important. Arrive in the pose. You were there. Make it precise. And then you're going to exhale and cartwheel your hands to the mat into a high lunge. Come up onto your back toes. And once you're in the high lunge, plant your hands under your shoulders like you would in plank. Back leg is like a plank pose leg as well. Then you're going to pick your right foot up, bring your right knee to your right tricep. Once you land there, keep the knee touching your tricep. Bring your right foot across towards your left wrist. Right, once that comes across, you're going to set yourself up into single pigeon. And then if you need to modify, so if your right hip is up off of the ground here, you're going to put a blanket or a block under your right hip until you're supported, and then fold all the way forward. And then you could treat this just like a resting place, but we'll rest at the end. Now, work. So back toes, reach them away from you like an up dog foot. You don't have to go crazy with straightening the knee, but have some effort through the back leg. And then your right hip, if you roll the inner right thigh up, think about reaching through the knee a little bit, the hip will move down. And then just like you just did in Warrior Two, square your chest to the floor, no matter how high away from the floor it is. And then from here, you're going to press yourself back up, curl your back toes under, push yourself back into 3-legged dog, lifting your right leg up, and then open your right hip, bend your right knee, and you can circle your right thigh, right knee up towards the ceiling or the ankle if you like. They really want to do their ankles for some reason. It's just that kind of day. Right? And then stretch your right leg really tall, straighten the knees, square your hips, and set your right leg all the way down. And then walk your hands all the way back to your feet again. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, hands to your hips. And with a flat back, inhale, bring yourself all the way up to standing. And then step your feet together again. We'll do the second side. So this time, stand on your right foot and pick your left foot up. Bring it to the inner thigh. And then don't be concerned with how high the foot is. Be concerned with the sides of your pelvis being level, hands to your hips. Look and make sure these two bony parts at the front of your hips are square to the front of your mat. And if you can hold that, then you can press the thigh and the foot together and take your left knee wider. And again, it doesn't matter if it goes all the way out to the side. Reach your arms up now. Good. Okay, so lots of space for your neck. The outer arms, they roll forward, just like in down dog. And then once you have that, the low part of your belly, you think navel drawing in and up towards the crown of your head, just a little. Hold that. Now reach up through your arms so that the outer shoulder, kind of at the base of your armpits, feels like it's reaching up towards your elbows. And then reach your elbows up to your fingertips. That'll allow you to arch your upper back and look up. And then if you can touch your palms, bring them towards one another with straight arms. Keep the inner right foot grounded just enough so that you feel like the outer hip is moving in, and press the foot into the inner thigh at the same time. And then bring your gaze forward again, bring your hands to your hips, lower your left leg, and then step it forward wide, face the right side of your mat this time. Warrior two on this side, set your block up to your outer foot if you're using it. Okay, left toes spin out, right toes in, heel to arch. Bend your left knee into warrior two and reach your arms out. Okay, and then once you're there, so it's a little tiny bit of a different back foot than you were doing in tree pose. You have to give the outer edge of the foot a little bit more of an anchor than the inner. And then once you have that, straighten your knee as much as you were doing in tree, and then leave your back leg alone. Put the weight in your left heel. Send your hip and knee straight ahead over your second toe as you drop into the bend. And then that same little tiny pickup of the low part of your belly. All you're looking to do is bring the pubic bone up just a drop. And then hold that, square your chest off, reach further back through your right fingertips so that collarbone feels as wide as the left. And then once you have that, start to bend into the front knee, keeping your hips level in space. So as you bend, the right hip or left hip wants to drop. Pick it up, send the right hip towards your left heel. Now for the last few breaths, just steady your gaze over your left fingers, breathe smoothly, and bend just a little tiny further with every exhale. Everything else should feel really still. Now you don't want to lose the traction in your back leg or where your hip is positioned. So reach for the front of your mat, fold at the hip. If you need to hop the back foot in a little, move it forward, and then take your top arm up as your left hand lands to the outer foot. Right, side angle, Parsvakonasana. So reestablish the outer edge of the right foot now. Knee is straight, it's that idea of lifting the quad. And then you have to give just a little juice to the inner thigh. So as you pull it towards the back of your mat, it'll feel like you're going to straighten your front knee a little. Let that happen, that's okay. Hold the traction of your back leg and bend into your left knee. Keep the weight in your heel again. And then lean the knee open into the inner arm as the hip moves under. Turn the top palm, reach that arm alongside your ear. And like you just did in Warrior Two, there's a little bit of low belly just to pick the hip points up towards the navel. Then roll your chest open and do like an up dog sensation in your upper back. Move it into your chest to widen. And then the last breath, they look gorgeous. Side body is really long. If your left side body doesn't feel quite as long as your right, think about doing a little tiny crunch. Bring the right ribs a little closer to the right hip point to stretch the left. And then top arm, take it up. Put some weight in your feet, look down, and on an inhale, glide yourself up to Warrior Two. Pause, hold. Good. And then cartwheel your hands down to the mat. Come onto your back toes. Plant your hands down like they would be in plank. Straighten your back leg like it's plank. And pick your left knee up. Bring it to your outer arm. Heel to sit bone to begin. And now keep your collarbone square. Bring your left foot towards your right wrist. And then slowly into single pigeon. Use your block or your prop underneath your left hip if you need it. So you put it there so that you can truly stretch the hip instead of sitting into your knee. And then fold forward. It's not your knees, they will take the brunt of things even when they're not supposed to. They're like the pleasers. They're like the kid on the playground that'll give you their candy. And then again, spread through your back toes, press them into the mat. Let your left hip move down by rolling your inner left thigh to the ceiling. Make sure your left ankle is engaged in some way. You can make a Barbie foot or a flexed ankle. And then like you were doing when you were standing, steer your chest square to the floor. And then come up onto your hands, curl your back toes under, press back, three-legged dog, open, bend, stretch. If you circled your ankle, circle your ankle. If you circled your knee, do that. Just don't do something different on the other side. And then stretch your left leg way back, spread through the toes and straighten the knee, and then put your foot all the way down. All right, take a nice big inhale through your nose and let it go out your mouth. And look forward, lift your heels, walk or hop to the front. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, widen your collarbones. Exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, bend your knees and bring your arms alongside your ears for chair pose. Once you land there, put enough weight back into your heels that your toes get light, but keep them on the mat. And then sit deeply, sending your tailbone what would seem a few inches behind your heels. And then like you did in up dog, lift your chest higher. Roll the outer arms forward. Once you make as much space for your neck as you can, reach your fingertips higher. Last breath, maybe look up and move your hands towards one another. Exhale, stand, and bring your hands to your heart. Mountain pose. Good. So make sure you slide your feet all the way together. And then inhale, bend your knees and sit back into chair. Exhale, fold, and then straighten your legs. Inhale, look forward, chest wide. Exhale, vinyasa back to down dog. All right, for this one, modified B, step your right foot forward, stay up on your back toes. Inhale, bring yourself up to crescent pose, arms alongside your ears. Just one breath up to the top, hips square and lifting up off your right thigh. Exhale, hands down to the mat, step into plank and through vinyasa to down dog again. And then this time, left foot, step it through, stay on your right toes. Inhale, lift up. As you lift your hips and chest, pull the belly in. Good. Exhale, hands down and slowly through a vinyasa. So make every breath as long as it can be, and then match the movements to that length of breath. There's this temptation to go really fast, but when you go really fast, you use momentum, you don't build strength, and you can cause some injury. So you're better to build that muscular strength by going really slow, even though it's not easy. It's worth it. Right, Janice? She says yes. She would never disagree with me. I'm just kidding. Right, look forward, lift your heels, and walk or hop to the front of your mat. She'll probably yell at me after this. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees, inhale, chair. And exhale, push down to stand and bring your hands together. Right, and then this time, full B. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, fold, straighten your legs out again. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, vinyasa to down dog. They're so good. They're going so slowly. I love it. Right, then from here, without lifting your leg, bring your right foot all the way forward. Spin your left heel flat at an angle. Inhale, come up to warrior one. Do that same thing. Get the hip points up, the tailbone under, and then exhale, hands down to the mat and take yourself through again. So as you go through these, if you want to take out the chaturangas, fine. If you want to add extra ones, fine. Right, now left side forward, bring it through, spin the right heel down and take a breath all the way up. Good. And then exhale, bring your hands down, and again, back through a vinyasa to down dog. Now from this down dog, walk your hands all the way back to your feet. With your index finger and middle finger, hook your big toes. Inhale, pull your chest forward, pause once you're here. And if it doesn't feel like you have the same amount of length in the front of your torso as your back, bend your knees a little bit until you get that. And then exhale and fold from your hips with bent knees. And then if you can straighten your legs and keep your spine long, go ahead and start to lift the kneecaps up to your hip crease. Take your shoulders up your back and away from your spine, and then pull up on your toes, but stamp them down at the same time. It'll give you a little bit more of a fold. And inhale, stretch your chest through your arms. Exhale, hands to your hips, and inhale, come up to standing with a flat back. All right, step wide to face the side of your mat, the left side again. Wow, it's very slippery. It's like an ice skating rink. You don't know, but we make them do this on black ice here. So have your feet, it's just to make it harder. It's that your feet have wide as your arms would be just right underneath your wrists, and then bring your hands to your hips. Right? Inhale, lift your chest up. Lift your kneecaps up too, and exhale with a flat back, fold forward. Put your hands under your shoulders. Inhale, pull your chest through your arms, and then exhale, fold at your hips. Right, so if your elbows bend with a straight, long spine, walk your hands back so your arms look like chaturanga. If your elbows won't bend and you have a long, if you don't have a long spine and your elbows are bent, get your spine long first, and then worry about the rest later. Okay, kneecaps up again, inner thighs. They roll in towards one another here, but for a lot of you, that'll cause a little bit too much in the low back, so squeeze your outer thighs together at the same time. And then hands pressing. Elbows hug in, collarbones broaden out. More than that, arch between the shoulder blades to get the front of your torso longer. And then inhale, pull your chest forward, come up really high on your fingertips. Move your hands under your shoulders. Right, you're going to keep the weight balanced in your feet from left to right and heel to toe. Bring your left hand an inch to the center, reach your right arm up and twist. Okay. As soon as you do this, they both fixed it. But the hips want to go all the way to the right. They want to do this dance to the right foot. So put more weight in your left foot. Keep hugging your thighs together like you were doing a moment ago. Extend your front body, same idea, and then twist from the base of your rib cage up through the crown of your head. The rest of your body should stay really stable. Good. And then from here, lower your right hand down, bring it a little bit to the midline, re-lengthen your spine on an inhale, and then exhale, twist and reach your left arm up. See, Liz's hip wants to go all the way to the side. Don't let it, Liz. Keep it where it's supposed to be. And then you're standing on your tiptoes. Put more weight in your heels. Ah, better. Good. I do this thing where I now stand on like my toes and all my folds, so I'm very conscious of it. Make sure your feet are balanced. Going for as much length in your front body as you can get without arching the lower spine, and then twisting from the rib cage through the crown of your head. Shoulders might stack, they might not. Janice's don't. Mine don't. It's all good. Maybe they will one day. Good. And bring your left hand down, hands to your hips, and inhale, flat back to stand. Stretch your arms out to the sides. I can't make myself do it because I feel silly, but you can either walk, which I like, or hop to the front of your mat, samasthiti, feet together, hands together. They don't like the hop either, see? Right, from here, you just sit back into chair. So inhale, bend your knees and drop into chair pose. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart and twist yourself to the right. Hook your left elbow to your right knee. Just like the chair you did before, get enough weight back in your heels that your toes are light, but put them on the mat. You need them. They're there for a good amount of balance. And then look down at your knees and make sure that they're parallel with one another. Once you're sure they are, hug your sit bones just a drop together. Move your sternum away from the crease of your hips, that same front body length you just did, and then twist. If you can part the arms and keep your spine long, go ahead. And left hand can go down, right arm can go up. There's all kinds of things you could do. But it's more important that you're maintaining that stability and neutralness of the lower body and then adding a twist to it, then the arms or whatever they may be, than it is to get them apart as the priority. Right, turn back to center, inhale, chair pose, and take your arms up. Pause, this is the hardest part. Sit back, chest higher, and then press down and stand and bring your hands together. Pause for just a moment, and we'll do side two. So inhale, bend your knees. That was enough of a pause. Bend your knees and sit back into chair. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Lean forward and twist. And once you're there again, back into the heels. Look at your knees. It's just easier here to look at them and make sure they're square. And when they are, outer hips, they hug in. You can think sit bones narrowing too if that helps. And there's this whole big pull of the chest forward. And then arm and knee can press together without unsquaring. Get that knee back, or I will staple it back there. And then turn your chest open. Good. Right. Stay with it, especially with the breath. Like it's smooth and steady, it'll sustain you. Right. Now inhale, chair pose, arms up. Pause. Good, Janice. Janice's knees are shaking. And press down and stand. And bring your hands together. That was it. Thank you. Right, here we go. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Oh, I'm not that vicious. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch your collarbones wide, and exhale through a vinyasa, or you can always step straight back into down dog if you'd like. Right, last standing pose. So step your right foot forward, stay up on your back toes. Inhale, come up to crescent pose, arms up. And then this time, exhale, hands together, lean halfway forward, straighten your back leg completely. Take another inhale for a huge amount of length, and exhale, twist, left elbow, right knee. So same thing with this. You can part the arms and let that be the priority. Or you can do all of the components first and not worry about what happens with the arms. So first, lift your hips just a touch away from the floor more than you think, and then press through your back heel like plank. When you can hold that, start to pay attention to where the weight is in your right foot. Put it in the heel, get the knee right over your ankle, and then pull your sternum forward and twist. You don't make your stance long enough. Move your back foot back a little, and then shift back into it a little. Better. And if you want to part your arms, that's fine. You can go ahead and part your arms. Liz does a lovely arm parting. It's its technical name. So get this hip up a little. There you go. I know. It's hard to feel if you don't have an Alex behind you. Right? Exhale, hands down to the mat and through a vinyasa to down dog. Last standing pose, last side. Right, so from down dog, step your right foot forward, inhale up to the top of crescent pose. It might seem a little bit long, but it's worth the setup. So inhale, take your arms all the way up, and then exhale, bring your hands to prayer. Inhale, lean forward, chest wide, back leg straight, and now exhale and twist it, right elbow, left knee. So how do you know they're square? First, you just lift both hips a little bit away from the floor, like you're straightening your left knee somewhat. Then straighten your right knee completely, reach the center of your heel back. That should take care of most of it. Make sure the weight stayed in your left heel, and your left thigh will be parallel with the side of your mat. Then you'll know. Hips should be pretty square without an Alex. Then stretch your chest forward and twist. And if you're going to part your arms apart, go ahead. Good. Oh, so much better on that side. That makes me very happy. Small, small things like square hips in the twist that just make my day. All right, one more breath. And then hands down to the mat and step into plank and through a vinyasa, or you can push into down dog. All right. So just a couple of back bends. Look forward, hop all the way through and lie down on your back. And then set your feet up hip distance apart. And there's no real great way to figure out where your heel should go. It's just when you lift up, your knees should be right over your ankles. For some of you, you'll be able to touch your heels. If you have short arms like me, that's not going to happen. Right, so you pay attention when you come up to where your knees are in relation to your ankles. Right, press your feet down. Inhale, lift your hips up. Move your shoulders under you and interlace your fingers. Give enough weight to your inner foot so that your knees move in over your ankles from side to side. And then make sure it feels like your knees are over your ankles and not further to the front of your mat. And then hold that. Send your tailbone under towards the backs of your knees. That might flatten your low back out a little bit too much, so press your outer upper shoulder down and create more of a back bend between your shoulder blades by doing that. You look for a long, natural curve in your spine. And then arms apart and lower yourself down. If you want to knock your knees together in between, you can, but resist that dying urge to hug your knees in for a second. Okay, one more time. Up you go. Inhale. She's laughing at me. Interlace and press your shoulders down. So this outer upper part of the shoulder, press it down. This part of your chest will broaden out, which means that you're creating more of a back bend in your upper back. If that feels like now you've dropped your tailbone down towards your heels, pick your tailbone up to the backs of your knees. So you, again, have that big, long, open C curve in your spine. Both of you can put a drop more weight in your inner heels. That's better. And then arms apart, lower slow. Hug your right knee all the way in and extend your left leg out on the mat. You can shift your hips a little to the right if that helps, and then drop your knee to the left and reach your right arm out to the side. All right. through this finishing section, there's some work. So there's never, until Shavasana, a place where you should be completely relaxed. But these poses are a lot more relaxed than, say, Warrior Two. So as much as you can, find softness in them without losing total engagement like you're going to sleep. So here the engagement's going to be pushing the right shoulder down and then reaching the right hip up and over. But you can let your entire face relax. You can pretty much let the left leg be a little bit more relaxed and loose. And then come back up and hug your other knee in. And shift your hips a little bit to the left this time. Drop your knee to the right. And reach your left arm out to the side. And then again, once you're there, push the left shoulder down. Move the left hip up and over, even if you use your right arm to do that or to aid in that. You want your right leg reaching straight away from you, but it can be pretty relaxed. And then your eyes can close and your breath can be a little bit softer and less heating at this point. And then come back up and hug both knees in. And take a rock up to seated. Stretch your legs out in front of you into Dandasana. Right, so feet, flex your ankles. Feet can be all the way together. I like them a little apart these days, so if you'd like them hip distance, do that as well. Right, and then sit up tall, chest wide. Once you're up tall, hold on to the height in your spine and inhale, reach your arms alongside your ears. And then lead with your sternum and exhale, fold forward, sit bones anchored. That same thing you did at the beginning of your practice, but this time with straight legs. Right? And then inhale and re-lengthen if you like, and exhale, fold. So again, looking for some engagement, some softness. Here, feet flex and pull the pinky toes back like you were standing on your feet. And then your heels, the tops of your thighs and sit bones all press firmly down into the floor. And then when you have that, keep reaching your front body forward, and the muscles that'll aid in that are in your upper back and down your spine. And the softness is face, neck, all those things can completely relax. Belly can be soft as well. And then inhale, sit yourself all the way back up. And then you can do a big diamond Baddha Konasana because I'm obsessed with it these days and I just like it. So you'll bring the soles of your feet together and have your legs about 2/3 of the way towards straight. If that bothers your knees, pull your feet all the way in like you would for regular Baddha Konasana. And then inhale straight up with your chest and exhale, fold forward. And this one you can round if you like. You can grab your feet. You can walk your hands in front of you. It is up to you. But again, it sometimes pinches your outer knees a little, and if it does, it's not worth it. So come out of it and either pull the feet all the way in or sit cross-legged like you did at the beginning. And then get really still. So part of the practice is this moving component through the sun salutes, through all those transitions in the standing poses, but there's always balance. So now it's a lot of stillness. And then slowly inhale, sit yourself all the way up. And then just Upavista Konasana, so separate your legs wide apart. You can turn to the side or just stay facing forward, it doesn't really matter. And separate them just a little bit wider than 90 and have your toes facing straight up again. If it's tough for you just to sit up tall here, you can put your hands behind you and just sit up really tall. If not, you'll inhale, lift up, and with a flat back and anchored sit bones, exhale, fold forward. And again, you might not go very far, you might go all the way down, but you look for stability first. Sit bones, thigh bones, and heels all pressing. Toes stay facing the ceiling. And then once you have that stability, then you can start to pull your chest forward and hinge at your hips. And then softness again, neck, belly, breath. And then inhale, pull your chest forward. Exhale, sit yourself all the way up. And bring your hands to your outer thighs. Pull your legs all the way together. Lie back down on your back. Hug your knees into your chest. You can pull them really close to you. And pull the shins down towards the backs of your thighs. And then when you feel even and ready and kind of like, okay, that's it. Now I'm ready to be still. Stretch your legs out in front of you into Shavasana. So legs wider than your hips will allow your feet to flop open easily. You do the same thing with your shoulders. Arms wider than shoulder distance so your thumbs can be heavy towards the floor, palms up. And then just always pay attention. If it feels like your chest is collapsing or your shoulders are way up above by your ears, wiggle them down and underneath of you. And then you let go slowly of the control of your breath completely. And it's not instantaneous. It won't go back to how it is normally right away. You take a few cycles of breath to let that happen. And then it's a choice. I say it every time, but it really is. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it's a choice to hold your body still, so choose that. Let go as much as you can of your breath, and then take rest. So this is the part where you absolutely do not have to do anything but lie here. So feel good about the practice that you just did, the work you did, and now take your reward of a really nice Shavasana.